in that sense. Hopefully we get to see them in this game as we go into Champion Select. Now Snipers will be on the blue team and HQ Esports Club will be on the purple side.
Score two goals for me. Trash Kassadin. Olaf's gonna be the last man. Come on, please.
Would you wanna buy some lottery for me if you really call it?
I don't know. Oh no.
Oh no, you missed by 1 mark, but
okay.
Oh, nevertheless, and
you called the Dr. Mundo man.
Right, the Dr. Mundo pick for Taipei Snipers definitely giving a lot of trouble to HQ
and the
Esports
Olaf
Club.
pick. Okay. Well,
makes sense.
Makes a lot of sense. I am thinking that Wins doesn't really play a lot of Olaf. I've not seen Wins play Olaf just yet. I somehow can't recall if he played in the LNL now. I've been watching a lot of LNL replays because of this match, and if Wins plays Olaf, and we know how scary aggressive Olaf is on a 3.14 patch, the moment you hit one undertow, you're basically dead. Like, the moment Olaf hits like one undertow, I don't know how you're going to escape from that one. You're definitely going to burn a flash, and he's just going to come back again.
Right, and the thing is, we might actually see that Olaf up in the top lane. It's not too surprising. We have seen that in the Saigon Jokers and Taipei Assassins, where we saw QTV play that Olaf up in the top lane. And you know what's the surprising thing? Because Zonda, he has a lot of history up in the top lane. Because back then in Season 2, when he was so-called under training, with Stanley being his mentor up in the top lane, he did play a bit of Olaf in the Season 2 GPL matches as well when he was playing under the Taipei Assassins flag. And this time around, I feel like he has sufficient understanding of that Olaf as well. So, you know, they have that little bit of flexibility to play mind games against HQ Esports Club. You can put that Olaf down in the mid lane. Oh, sorry, not mid lane. Up in the top lane or, you know, down the jungle as well. So, let's see what Taipei Snipers want to pick up for themselves. Might be the Jinx pick, wouldn't be too surprised because
the Nami lock-in for Mistake is something that I'm not too surprised as well. He actually has been playing quite a decent Nami. He's hit like the Bubble Prison, Aqua Prison in itself has managed to like kind of pull off those 2-man, 3-man Aqua Prisons, and the Tidal Wave is a pretty good disengage or engage tool coming in for Taipei Snipers.
You know, speaking of that, we have seen Mistake play that Nami in the tiebreaker stages when they went up against Hong Kong Attitude back a couple of weeks ago, and you know his Nami play was pretty substantial and pretty terrifying as of that. And you paired it up with God JJ, you know, back then it was the exact same duo which they used to defeat the Hong Kong Attitudes, and you know, you have that peeling potential for Jinx as well, because the one weak thing about Jinx is that you have a lot of firepower in the arsenal, but you might not be the best champion when it comes to trying to escape. You need a couple of kills in, or at least some form of boost from your support player in order for that to happen. And you know, we talked a lot about Taipei Snipers, but take a look at HQ Esports Club now. What they have picked up for themselves is that Lee Sin pick. I love it so much because Ness, he has shown to be one of the, you know, more aggressive Lee Sin players in the Garena Premier League. In fact, most of the Lee Sin players in the Garena Premier League they always want to go in for level 1, level 2, even level 2, level 3 actions, and it's a perfect pickup for them. And having that Lulu pickup as well, they want to deter away maybe early dives, and I hope that would, you know, show themselves maybe even in a 2v1 lane top situation.
Yeah, and now that I think about it, the top lane Olaf is not so far-fetched because Zonda has Ghost and Teleport. And yes, if they lock in Elise, which they do, Wins will be playing a jungle Elise and Zonda will be playing the top lane Olaf. And we all know how Olaf kind of runs in the top lane. Split push all day, mighty swing all day, and if he gets kind of chased down, just throw undertows behind you and ghost away.
You know what I'm looking at now?
What are you looking at?
I'm looking at the fifth pick.
So you're very
looks like I called it.
Yes, you called it. So
looks like I called it.
A lot of calls today from both of us in the casters desk. I kind of messed up a little bit in the bans.
It's okay.
Case.
You don't have to beat up yourself for today. At least called 2.
I at least called 2. Yes.
Yeah, that is a good margin for yourself. And okay, let's compare a little bit about the team compositions for both teams now. Taipei Snipers pick up the Olaf pick, Elise in the jungle, Gragas in the mid lane, and then Jinx and Nami down at the bottom lane. For HQ Esports Club, they have the Shyvana up in the top lane, Lee Sin in the jungle, Fizz in the mid lane, and then Sivir and Lulu down in the bottom lane, respectively. So, you know, comparing both these teams now, Taipei Snipers, they have a more, you know, balanced team composition because they have that pick potential coming in from Elise as well as the Aqua Prison coming out from Mistake. But at the same time, they do have a lot of area of effect crowd control as well. You can go in for the explosive cars and then let Jinx try to, you know, pick everyone one by one once again. It's a lot of times when teams want to have this Jinx pick, they would pick those champions that can revolve around that. Because if you have the explosive cars to start things off, you can separate everyone and then let Elise cocoon someone up and then, you know, let Jinx just go in for that single target burst down. And then after that, just let her roam around with that get excited passive. And then for HQ Esports Club, what they have is, now they do not have that ball delivery system in game number 1, where you can just put the ball onto Shyvana and then go into the fray. But they have a lot of assassin potential here because you have that Lee Sin, you have that Fizz as well, and I expect them to make plays right from the start. And if that works out for HQ Esports Club, then definitely they will need the advantage and the momentum to come into game number 2.
Yeah, so let's see whether AHQ can kind of get that flow back into the favor. Although TPS kind of has that flow in the sense that they have Nami, so they're going to have the ebb and flow on their team at this point of time. But I hope AHQ will be able to kind of use you know, the title Trickster to get that flow back into their hands. And what we have here, we may see Azubu Taipei snipers actually go in for a invade at this early stages of the game. Will get spotted out by Garnet Devil, however. Zonda does not hit the undertow, and the Garnet Devil just responds with a friendly boomerang blade to the face.
I don't know, man. How are you going to drown Fizz in the tidal wave? Have you ever thought about this issue? How are you going to use Nami to try to drown out Fizz?
Well, if he kind of does a playful Trickster, you can always trap him in an Aqua Prison after that. Punish him from being such a playful and tricky.
I guess that's why we don't really see Nami up in the mid lane a lot against
No, we
Fizz.
don't. No, we don't.
Alright, so we do have the defensive start and the conservative start from HQ Esports Club once again. And it does look like this time around, Taipei Snipers, they do not have the advantage of the invasion as they would want to have for the most part. So Taipei Snipers now, they are going to recall that. It does look like Zonda will be starting work on the red buff if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, so it will not be a, what do you call, a repeat of what happened in game number 1 for Azubu Taipei Snipers, in which they denied Nas from above. But it does seem that AHQ may want to play something a little sneaky and chase Wins away from his own buff. And I don't know, it seems that an eye for an eye definitely does get hit by the resonating strike, and they will chase Wins away from his own blue buff, but the teleport is coming down, so
early teleport from Zonda here. It does look like he pops the ghost as well, and now Naze jumps back into the fray with Wins. A very messy level 1 team fight here, and Zonda will take some damage from Price. So Foreman's duking it out back and forth, and it does look like this blue buff is of so much contention now. Mystic taking a whole lot of damage as well. Price will have to back up from there, and now Oriel looking to back his teammates up here. It does look like with all this action back and forth, Taipei Snipers might eventually just still pick up the blue buff. So a very messy fight here. Both teams, they don't want to, they're biting onto the blue buff, and Boomerang Blade comes up once more, and now Mace lands the Sonic Wave as well. Now Westor joins the fray. It does look like they are still fighting back and forth. They don't want to back off from this one. So let's see what eventually happens. We might not even see the first blood happening here. So
wow, this is a 1.5 minute fight over the very first buff. Both the lizards have already died here, and now only the blue golems like, so which one of you guys are gonna take me? I'm just walking back and forth at this point of time.
I think the golem is pretty pissed at this. Like, come on, just have a resolution already. Let's have a solution to this. Who will have the blue buff? Does look like HQ Esports Club will have the smite onto that, so they have the final say over this 1 minute engage here. And they will successfully take the blue buff away from Taipei Snipers. So that 1 minute brawl,
I don't think it's a 1 minute, Chris. I think that went on for at least almost more than 2 minutes actually.
Yeah, more than 2 minutes actually. And because of that, we do see now Naze having the blue buff control over Snipers, but a lot of time being dedicated, and now Oriel, because he has that 10 CS advantage over Westor here, and having that level advantage as well, does feel like he might even reach level 6 first, and I think that's when he will go aggressive, all aggressive onto Westor. And because, as I say that, he actually takes a whole chunk of damage from those barrels and body slams.
Yeah, the Azubu Taipei snipers kind of gave up on that blue buff because they saw that AHQ had that positional advantage in their own jungle. So what Oreo decided to do was to just go in, push the lane as far as possible ahead, get that early level advantage, and try to shove Westdoor away from his own lane. So it's gonna be a lane swap from both teams, with the dual lane actually going up to the top, and the normally regularly solo top bruisers going down to the bottom lane. So after that little dance there at the blue buff, I think the lanes are just gonna go on fairly normally coming into the early stages of the game at least.
Right, so very interesting matchup from both teams here. HQ Esports Club, they have their duo up in the top lane, and I think given for the most part, Silver should have a slightly stronger laning phase against Jinx, but you know, you compare that down to the bottom lane, now we do see Pride's just struggling to keep up in CS against Zonda here, so I guess that's where the results will start to show later on. But in the meantime, in the mid lane, we see Oreo go back fairly quickly, pick up a second Doran's ring, and you know, this Doran's ring look like it's gonna be that one ring to rule them all mid laners.
It could be, and I just like to kind of talk about Oreo's specialization coming into the mastery at this point in time. He does decide to spec a little bit into the utility tree here because we do see the Biscuiteer mastery coming out for the side of Oreo on his Gragas, so slightly different masteries being used coming into game number 2, especially since he's playing a different champion. And Zonda is going to be an extreme lane bully. He has answered, so whoa, we have Naz actually getting caught out.
Right, and Ness will be able to jump out of the way of this one. He has the Ignite popped onto him. Might look like he will go down to Oreo, and now Win's catching onto Westdoor. In the same time, he will flash over the wall, but the double buffs being given over to Oreo here. That's not a great start for HQ Esports Club.
Yeah, and we do have Garnet Devil as well as Green Tea kind of rotate down to try to get that double buff back onto the hands of HQ in itself. So the Aqua Prison is going to miss onto Westdoor, and got JJ with a little bit more time alone in the lane in itself is going to be very happy to farm that one up.
Right, I love the response coming in from Taipei Snipers there, because Ness, he did take away the blue buff away from the snipers right from level 1, but they responded by taking away the double buff. So overall, still a win for Taipei Snipers. So with that 600 gold advantage, and I expect to see that open up soon if HQ Esports Club do not do something about it.
Well, denying away double buffs from Elise in jungle isn't really going to hurt that much, but denying away the blue buff from Wins would hamper his kind of clear time a little bit, so Naz should be able to kind of claw back up, go in with that aggressive play that we saw in game number 1, hit Sonic Wave Resonating Strike combo, and hopefully pick up a kills and pass it on to either Garnet Devil or Westdoor.
Right, and the interesting as well is that, especially in game number 1, like you mentioned, we saw Ness actually lose one of his buffs, and even though he did lose that early game objective, he managed to still come back into lane and then make something happen with one of the ganks. And I hope to see him start to make that soon, because at this point in time, Price is really kind of struggling against Zonda down in this bottom lane. And we now do see God JJ slowly catching up to the CS that Garden Devil has over him so far.
Let's just see how the lanes kind of work out. Gragas in the mid lane going deep into the utility tree masteries, I feel, is gonna give him a slight early lane advantage against Westdoor, because having that additional mana regeneration will allow him to spam that barrels a little bit more, having those cooldowns, and we may see a gank here onto Price.
There we go, Zonda now jumping to frame with the Ghost as well. Now Oreo jumping in with the body slam, undertoes after undertoes. Looks like Price will go down to the explosive cast. Wins was not needed as well, but he will soak up some experience. And so once again, Taipei Snipers matching the aggression that AHQ Esports Club are so famous for. It does look like this time around they want to take the title of the early game masters away from AHQ Esports Club. So 2-0 in terms of kill count, now building up to a 1k goal advantage. Does feel like God JJ, taking a whole lot of damage from Garnet Devil. And they might want to try to respond to this, because Scott JJ, he needs some time to ramp up. And if you give him time to ramp up, he will be a scary, scary Mafia monster.
Who was the one who actually got 4 kills onto Jinx in the at the level 1 fight? Was it God JJ?
For the love of God, I can't remember.
Well, we know that Jinx can do something like that, so having got JJ on Jinx, being a very aggressive AD carry in itself and able to snowball that Jinx very far ahead. We saw him go 3-0 and 4 on Lucian in the previous game, and those aren't very spectacular numbers, but considering that it was only a 26-minute game, 3-0 and 4, that Lucian was
Pretty
very
impressive.
scary.
Pretty impressive. And now O'Real, 9 minutes in having that early needlessly large roll, that has got to spell some trouble for Westor in the mid lane. Does feel like Ness haven't made his impact on the game so far, so he needs to kind of mirror what Vince is doing, or at least try to apply pressure somewhere else, like somewhere up in his top lane. And now we do see God JJ slowly catching up once again against Garena, and we might see something happen once more as now Vince and O'Real jumping into the fray, or having some sweet revenge for himself to try to take away the blue buff. And the smite comes down. Looks like Vince will be the one to secure that actually, as they start to move down to the bottom lane, or they might just want to catch out Westdoor as well. So it does look like, yeah, they're just gonna shift their focus back to the mid lane.
Yeah, having all your lanes being so aggressive on the side of Azubu Taipei snipers will allow them to kind of get control of the opponent's jungle in itself and just be the aggressors in general. So one way to kind of counter an aggressive team such as AHQ is to be more aggressive than AHQ in itself. Or another way that teams can actually do it is to kind of try to match the aggressiveness and go in for the counter ganks. But it seems that the answer that the Azubu Taipei snipers have found is just to be more aggressive than.
Right, not only that, I also feel like they have much more awareness of what HQ Esports Club. They might have found a pattern to how Ness moves around in the jungle, and because of that, for the most part, Vince was able to match up to that, or even find openings away from that, and that has opened up a lot of kill potential on his own end. And now we do see a gank down into the bottom lane, and now Westall joins the fray. He does pop the Charm the Waters as well. Does feel like he might go down the process. Now Zonda, with the assistance of his own turret, he will survive the trade, and does feel like it was a futile attempt, as we now do see Nace up in the top lane. He will not go down, but takes a whole chunk of damage. Super Mega Death Rocket into the Aqua Prison. Green Tea will go down as well. Wins and O'Real pick up 1 kill respectively. Now 4-0 in terms of kills, and I think this was the terrifying Nami that we all expected to see come out of the stake.
Once again, I have to point out, Azubu Taipei snipers opened the buffet lines at 11 minutes and 30 seconds. They will pick up a few kills just around this time, make the rotation from both Wins as well as O'Real, and start picking up objectives. This time, it's not going to be a dragon. We will see the top turret go down. The replay coming up.
Right, walk me through it, Wolf.
Alright, so we do see the Aqua Prison as well as that Super Mega Death Rocket getting hit. So it's just a simple and clean execution mistake. Once again, we've seen it before. He's hit those Aqua Prisons very easily.
Right, and meanwhile in the mid lane now we do see Ness taking a whole chunk of damage. Zonda is chasing up onto him, and he will, just disengage from that one. But once again, Ness, he hasn't been able to find the spot that he wants to go to. He hasn't been finding the kills that he needs to, and haven't been able to find the openings he needs to, be that aggressor that he wants to be. So Taipei Snipers really controlling the beast down really well, and, like you mentioned, 11 minutes, the buffet lines are open. I just feel like Taipei Snipers are never satisfied. They are always hungry, and I can relate to that.
Okay, you can relate to that.
I can relate to that.
I know you're quite a bit of a gastronomic connoisseur, I would say, and it seems that Azubu Taipei Sniper says, yes, we love our buffet, we will kind of eat up the big lizard.
They will eat up the Big Dragon for some extra gold, and once again, they will pull the gold gap apart to a good 3.7k, and that's not a spot that HQ Esports Club want to fight up against, so they really need to find a response fast. Does look like so far in the game, they have been playing once again to Taipei Snipers' pace, and they just need to force a team fight once again.
Okay, what HQ needs to do, because if they continue to let the flow go in Azubu Taipei Snipers' favor, it's going to be the exact same thing that happened in game number 1. It's going to be very reminiscent of game number 1. TPS will hit those item thresholds first, and then AHQ will just lose out in straight out team fights. What AHQ needs to do now is, right before TPS kind of hits those item thresholds that they haven't really gotten to at this moment, because everyone is kind of holding parts of items at this point of time, they need to go all aggressive for a team fight for the objective, force the Azubu Taipei Snipers to group up before they get those items, and hopefully win the team fight, because AHQ, they definitely can win the team fight with this kind of team comp coming in.
Right, and now God JJ getting excited there, but he is not going to find the team fight that he wants to go for. And speaking about item thresholds, Oriel has now finished up the Rabadon's death cap.
Okay, so that's one item threshold hit now. We also see Zonda actually picking up the Spirit Visage. That's another item threshold hit. The moment we actually see God JJ, whoa, we do have a fight breaking out in the
Mace
jungle.
getting caught with the Aqua Prison, and the tidal wave goes down as well. Wins will pick up the kill against Ness once again. So 2-0-1 on his own. And once again, going for that early Sorcerer Shoe start. And if it has worked out for him, he doesn't need to change it. So not showing his hand too much here, just going for the same old strategy that has worked out for him.
So this time I feel the Sorcerer Shoe is just because none of them actually are building magic resistance at this point of time. So maximizing out the damage, just get your Sorcerer Shoes out as soon as possible, and the percent health damage is going to hurt even more.
And now once again, Green Tea getting caught out with the crowd control combination that got JJ picks that kill for himself. And Westo tries to jump into the fray, and he will hit a Super Mega Death Rocket in the face, but does not go down in the process. That will force him to back off from the turret though. And Price now joins the fray with Zonda split pushing by himself up in the top lane.
Yeah, and having the blue buff timing earlier that Azubu Taipei snipers have, it seems that they're just going to pass that blue buff away to Oriel. And once again, another blue buff denied away. So Azubu Taipei snipers say that, hey, you saw blue buff level 1, you're not getting any more blue buffs anymore. Not even your own.
Just feel like it is a revenge, triple, quadruple, full revenge that I would like to call it.
An eye for an eye?
I think it's not just an eye for an eye, it's almost like an eye for a leg, or even just the whole corpse if you want to.
Wow. So what we have here is that the Azubu Taipei snipers have hit certain item thresholds, but I like to point out the itemizations coming in from HQ. Shyvana should be able to complete the Sunspire Cape very shortly. She's going to recall now. Price will recall soon at least and get that Sunspire Cape. Zonda is actually teleporting, so we may see a fight come out very shortly.
And now Zonda teleporting onto the
you know
water.
what? No blue buff.
No red buff.
No red buff either.
Nothing is, your jungler is mine. And Ness, really he hasn't been, I feel sad for the guy almost. He hasn't been finding the spots at all, and Taipei Sniper is just controlling his movements also well, and I have to give props up to them because it's not so much of HQ not wanting to make the plays, but more of Taipei Snipers know exactly what they are going to do and mirroring that, or at least, just going in aggressive and try to counteract out that for themselves. And because of that, it has resulted to HQ Esports Club being the reactive player in this game.
HQ needs to fight now. I must say it, HQ needs to fight now before they start to bleed even more gold. All the item thresholds have been met on both sides, except for the fact that Ness has been denied extreme, he has just been denied the whole game. I really feel sorry for Ness. And HQ just needs to fight now. They have all the ultimates up, they need to go now. They cannot give up this mid inner turret, and it just seems that the fact they don't have all 5 members there at this point of time. TPS will back off. They will continue to take more objectives, probably rotate to the top lane and just take that inner turret as well. And it does seem that TPS doesn't have any minions at this point of time, so they will rotate to the top lane, as I said, and just take that objective away from them. HQ really needs to respond now before TPS decides to back off and get more items.
Right, so I think all 10 members of both teams are just waiting for something to happen, and Price actually getting caught out of position that one, and he will get knocked back into the fray with the explosive cast, and Price actually catching a kill onto Zonda here. This might be the fight the HQ Esports Club need, and God JJ will go down to Westlaw in the meantime, even though he has taken down Green Tea in the process. So far it is a 2-for-1 trade in the favor of HQ Esports Club there, and I think they need a lot more fights like this to bring themselves back into this game.
I was very worried for HQ at that point in time because we saw TPS kind of out-rotate them and they weren't able to get to that tower. We will see the replay. Let's look at the rotations coming in from both sides.
Right, there we go with the replay.
So you see here, Price actually just put himself just to allow him to take as much damage as possible. He was just there to soak up as much damage, use the Dragon's Descent and probably, I think, the Flash as well to get away. And here we have HQ just responding. The moment we saw Azubu Taipei snipers just use most of their ultimates just to try to take down Shyvana, HQ responds, picks up 2 kills, and they save their top inner turret as well.
Right, but I would have to say, I have to give some credits to Mystic that 4-man tidal wave, I mean, that just put a lot more disengaged on the side of Taipei Snipers, so they were unable to catch up to them to secure more kills, but Eventually, you know, it was a 2-for-1 trade in the favor of HQ Esports Club, but you know, they need a lot more of that, and Taipei Sniper is just playing the game, taking the dragon away once more.
Yeah, they need to take the fights and take objectives, but the fact is that they weren't really in the best position to fight that one. They still went in nevertheless, because they knew that the moment Azubu Taipei Snipers took that top inner turret, they would have gone back and gotten these items. Look, an additional Giant's Belt on Olaf, no way you're going to kill him with those kind of items that you have on HQ. That Spirit of the Ancient Golem already completed, as well as the Blasting Bond, the part of the Void Staff already, parts of the Void Staff already onto Gragas in itself. And the fact that the Talisman of Ascension is already up onto Mistake, that disengage completely will just kind of disallow HQ from kind of winning any sort of team fight. So what HQ needs to do now is try to turtle as much as possible, get a few picks in the jungle, get back some vision control, and get TPS and prevent some of the aggression that TPS has been showing so far in this game.
Right, I have to agree with you on that one, because if you compare the mid laners, especially if you look at Westall, and actually we'll come back to that later as we see the fight break out, and now Oriel getting jumped on by both Westall and Price, and the shutdown will go down to Price there as he will give chase onto Zonda there. Now does look like Nace wants to jump into the fray. The kick onto God JJ will land. Nace taking a whole chunk of damage out of that one. Mystic trying to keep God JJ alive, and he will go down to green tea in the process. AHQ Esports Club, this is the fight that they were looking for. So they bring 2 more kills into the favor of themselves. And finally, it does look like they will secure their own jungle. Garena Devil will pick up that blue buff for himself. So, you know, slowly and steadily preventing all this gold from bleeding out. They have closed the gold gap to 6,000 at this point of time.
Okay, here's the problem that AHQ is still facing. These are the picks that they need. They saw wins in the top lane actually trying to push the lane in itself. We will see a replay of that fight. So let's just kind of break down what happened here. So they get the pick onto Oriel. The Chum the Waters will hit. The disengage from the explosive cast will not be enough. Dragon's Descent comes in. Oriel just gets melted. Immediately, Price tries to zone out every single one on Azubu Taipei Snipers. Azubu Taipei Snipers feel that they are still in the position. You see Wins still in the top lane, hasn't responded just yet. He will start to rotate now, and Price has been the only one taking up so much damage. AHQ still feels that they can fight it because they are on a 3 against 4, but a great kick coming out from Nas, zones out God JJ, allows him to do so much damage, or take so much damage on the side of AHQ, and Nas actually manages to survive with the flash. Didn't allow God JJ to get excited, and they pick up 2 kills for that one.
Right, so a great fight for HQ overall, and you know, they just need to keep doing this to keep themselves, and they will be able to come back from the game, but at the same time, they need to, like you mentioned, they need to translate that into objectives as well, because they have been getting all this gold from kills, but they need to start pushing these objectives in order for them to regain the ward line, to extend their ward line, so that they will not be those reactive players against Taipei Snipers.
That's right. So Azubu Taipei Snipers are the ones still in control of this game. They have the map objective. The game flow is still in their favor. HQ has been doing an extremely good job of not bleeding out gold at this point of time. This is what they need to constantly do. Problem is, they still haven't got back any map objectives just yet, and the fact is that they will still continue to play defensively. They need to take objectives in order to play any sort of offense, and that's what AHQ as a team, that's their style, that's what they want.
Right, and it feels like Taipei Snipers, they recognize just that. They are grouping up 5 men into this voluntary, and I feel like if there's a team fight that breaks out now in a even ground, Taipei Snipers will be able to take it just because they have a lot more AoE control over HQ Esports Club, because you know, the only disengage effectively coming out from HQ will be on the hunt coming in from Garena Devil. So if Snipers force an engage onto HQ Esports Club, they don't have a lot of answers to it.
If Snipers force an engage on the HQ Esports, I feel that HQ Esports may be able to, with the help of the turret of course, try to take it back from them, because we've seen Azubu Taipei Snipers lose in straight up team fights, especially in that top lane earlier. But what AHQ cannot do at this point in time is actually engage onto the Azubu Taipei Snipers. So the entire flow of the game is still in the hands of Azubu Taipei Snipers. I do not expect them to dive this turret. I just expect them to kind of just leave it out, wait for Zonda's teleport to be up, which is actually up, and maybe send Zonda to the mid lane and try to pull off a split push in itself. They aren't doing a lot of damage to the turret because of the amount of immense wave clear coming in from HQ, from the Boomerang Blades as well as the Glitter Lance, but you know, HQ can't really fight this at this point of time. They don't have the Talisman of Ascension just yet, and it's just a waiting game on both sides. So let's just see who's the one to make the initiation, because in my opinion, I feel that Azubu Taipei's sniper shouldn't fight at this turret in risk of actually losing that immense lead and allowing HQ to take back an objective. But look at this, they're just kind of mitigating and preventing AHQ from doing any sort of funny business while their top lane constantly is pushing to the turret. They have a big minion wave there, and all they need to do is just wait it out. Dragon is going to be up very soon, so if they can get AHQ just a little bit low, what Azubu Taipei... Whoa, we may see the engage. No engage. Explosive cards being used up at this point of time. So all they need to do is just wait for AHQ to get low and probably just take another objective such as Dragon. That's all they need to do. Look at the mid lane. A bunch of minions are pushing up to that. So much gold being lost on the side of AHQ. And all they can do is just hope that, you know, they don't lose this inner turret.
Right, so very patient gameplay from Taipei Snipers. I feel like you mentioned, in the long run, they will actually come on top of that one, and they will disengage from that one. That will give some breathing space for AHQ there, or they might just be, you know, just faking it out as they approach the Dragon here. So
simple, as Dragon respawns, go for Dragon.
Relatively good call from them, because they knew for a fact they're wasting a far bit too much time there in the bottom lane. So they will just grab that little scrap of gold on their own end. So extending their goal lead once again to 6,000. But HQ Esports Club, they are not out of this yet. They could still make something happen. So Taipei Snipers, they are fairly aware of that. So having that patient gameplay, I think, just worked out so well for them.
I think it was a very good call. Not only did they get the Dragon, they managed to do a little bit of damage on the inner turret, and they denied two extremely huge minion waves away from the AHQ carries in itself. And a very interesting pickup coming in from Green Tea. He doesn't decide to complete the Talisman of Ascension just yet to allow HQ to go for the additional initiation, but instead decides to pick up the Athene's Unholy Grail. This is going to help AHQ, or at least help Green Tea for himself to kind of allow him to throw out more Glitter Lancers, allow him to throw out more spells in those extended sieges which we've been seeing so far coming out from the Azubu Taipei Snipers. But without the Talisman of Ascension, I still feel that HQ doesn't have that initiation potential just because TPS has so much disengage.
Right, and you know, very good point there. So even though Gala Devil still has that on the hunt, that ultimate out for himself, you know, with the combined disengage coming in from Taipei Snipers, the Tidal Wave as well as the Explosive Cast, that's a very difficult squad to try to catch up to, especially with that Talisman of Ascension finished up on mistake.
Yeah, he's been sitting on the Talisman of Ascension as well as the Mikhail's Crucible for a very long time. I haven't seen him pick up any items outside of those two, and he hasn't completed the Ruby Sidestone just yet. And, you know, I just think that Mystic has been picking the correct items for his team at this point in time. Green Tea, however, I really honestly think that the Talisman of Ascension comboed up with the On the Hunt, as well as the initiation potential coming from Nas Price as well as Westdor, will allow them to force a fight under the turret. That is what AHQ needs, and they cannot allow TPS to force them to lose gold like that and lose objectives. Because I have to really say that that call in that bottom lane to wait it out patiently just lost them the Dragon as an objective. Yes, they kept their turret alive, but they lost two huge minion waves that, in which, if they actually managed to pick it up, Civil would have probably completed the Static Shift or Phantom Dancer, or probably even the Last Whisper looking at the items, and maybe even allow Fizz to complete a Death Cap.
Right, so looking at both teams now, they are still dancing back and forth. They don't want to force the engage as of yet, but here's my concern though. If Taipei Snipers, they wait out too long, that's not going to go in their favor as well. They need to juggle out all this patience together with the right amount of aggression, because if they just give too much breathing space for HQ Esports Club, they are known for making games come back as well. And they need to kind of make this fight happen when Westlaw hasn't completed much of his major items just of yet. The only item out for him is that Lich Bane. He doesn't have the Death Cap, he doesn't have the Zhonya's Hourglass yet. So if there's a time to go, it is right now, because they are sitting on the item advantage and the goal advantage, to say the least.
I agree. The difference between this fight and this siege now in this bottom inner turret is that the Void Staff is completed on the side of Oriel, the Phantom Dancer is completed on God JJ, and the Aegis of the Legion is completed on Wins. And the Sunfire Cape as well onto Zonda. He hasn't been sent on that split push mission just yet because they want, Azubu Taipei Snipers want to fight out on a 5v5. So what is going to happen is that we will wait onto O'Real for that engage, and I believe it's going to happen very shortly.
Pride once again taking a whole chunk of damage from the poke that Taipei Snipers have been able to put out, and O'Real now extending his position up forward to make some aggressive plays. And does feel like HQ, they have two decisions here. They have two major decisions to make. Either they give up the turret or they just choose to go in for a fight. And with the Dragon coming up soon, I feel like Taipei Snipers, once again, they do have that flexibility to just siege it down or eventually just go for that Dragon. But HQ Esports Club, they decided to back off, and Taipei Snipers will be able to take out that, once again, extending their goal lead to a good 8,000 at this point of time.
Yeah. The reason why AHQ was actually poked down in that one as well is because Gragas Barrels just deal so much more damage at this point of time. The Void Staff will just ignore completely any sort of magic resistance on the side of AHQ, and they were forced to back off from the turret, and now they will continue to bleed gold. Westlaw will be forced to actually respond to that huge minion wave at the top, and we should see Azubu Taipei Snipers ward up the top half red side jungle of AHQ and probably force a Baron, which they're actually doing now. They didn't really ward it up too well. There's only one ward coming in, but the fact that they have got JJ with the Phantom Dancer and Bloodthirster in their hands, they should be able to take this Baron down as fast as possible. But we will see HQ kind of respond, so let's take a look at what happens now.
Oh, Channel Waters actually land, and now got JJ will be caught out in a little bit of trouble, and now Price jumping into the fray with the Dragon's Descent. Naze will actually force the engage here. Garnet Devil not caught out in the cocoon. He's not able to follow up, but the entire squad of Taipei Snipers will now go down to HQ Esports Club. Garnet Devil is still surviving. Looks like the Baron call was not the best call at all, but Zonda now will take out Garnet Devil in the meantime. Double kill, and that's the ace for HQ Esports Club. Does look like this Baron call might not be the best for Snipers there. And now HQ Esports Club with 4 men alive, they want to do this Baron. And if they are able to take it, that's one major objective being taken away from these Snipers.
And look at the gold deficit coming in from Azubu Taipei Snipers now. They had a 6,000 gold lead, and now it's shrunk to about 5,000. After this Baron, it should shrink another 1.5 thousand to actually go down to maybe about 4.5 thousand, allowing HQ to pick up some more major items. Once Westlaw is able to complete that death cap there, we should see HQ kind of go even more, allow HQ to go more even into that team fights. That Baron call in itself, I have to say, is a very bad call coming from Azubu Taipei Snipers. I thought that they would go for Baron, yes, but I feel that they should have warded up the jungle first. Let's take a look at that team fight.
But we should have a replay and walk me through it with what exactly happened down
Okay, so
at the
they
Baron.
didn't have the vision at all onto AHQ. They threw up only one ward in the jungle, and Westlaw does miss the Chum the Waters, but look at what Price does. He goes into Dragon's Descent on top of the Wild Grove. He will completely disrupt the fight and knock up 4 members in mid-flight. And what happens is just that God JJ wins, and Mistake will just get completely zoned out by Green Tea, Garnet Devil, as well as Pride. And it's just completely a mess for Azubu Taipei Snipers at this point of time, because they have that Baron debuff onto them, allowing them to take actually more magic damage, and it's just gonna be very bad all around. The moment we saw Prides go in with that Wild Growth as well as Dragon's Descent coming in, knocking out 4 members, that just kind of spelled the end for Azubu Taipei Snipers. If they had the vision, however, if they actually warded up the entrances to the Baron, the moment they saw HQ come down, what Azubu Taipei Snipers would have done is just back off from the Baron, and since they had the gold lead, back away, kind of just farm out their lanes and do the Baron dance. They needed the vision to do the Baron dance. They didn't have the vision, and they went for a risky Baron.
Right, and look at what that resulted into. Now we do see HQ Esports Club with a huge burst of momentum, and not only that, a huge burst of gold and items as well. Now we do see Westlaw completing the Zonya's Hourglass, and Garnet Devil finishing up the Infinity Age as well, and Pride having that Rendon's Omen now on his own end, and the most interesting item from Green Tea, the Needlessly Large Rod.
Yes, the Needless. What is Green Tea actually getting at this point of time? He just wants to go on a full carry support. This is one of the first times I've seen a support not go all in for that Talisman of Ascension, because a lot of people have been telling me, and a lot of pro players, at least playing the support role, has just been going all in for that Talisman Ascension just because it gives your team so much initiate and disengage potential.
I told you, man, the beverage of choice for gods here. Because he doesn't need all that movement speed, he just needs all that ability power. And there we go now, Zonda will actually try to jump in with the Talisman of Ascension, but to no avail. And Garnet Devil will actually, in response, pop on the hunt. And now we do see Westlaw with all this attention down in the mid lane. He will take up the top lane turret, but Taipei Snipers, they do have this minion wave pushing up. So, you know, HQ Esports Club finally taking the first turret of the game for themselves. And, you know, having the Baron buff still. So I think that, you know, they still have the chance to come back into this one. 9-8 in terms of kills as well. They just need to, you know, play as they were. So in the past 2 team fights, it has been playing in their favor. So they need to ride this wave of momentum to make something else happen. And now we do see they are slowly translating that into objectives. Second turret of the game goes down, and you know, they are slowly regaining all these little bits and pieces of objectives for themselves.
Yeah, the momentum that they're riding on at this point of time is the Baron buff. The Baron buff gives so much stats at this stage of the game that all the items that have been completed on the AHQ on top of the Baron buff, I feel that their team comp currently out damages the Azubu Taipei Snipers just because they have the additional attack damage as well as ability power as well as the regen coming in from the Baron buff in itself. So AHQ is going to easily take away all the outer turrets, but look at what Azubu Taipei Snipers are doing. They're just going to force them to make the better rotation because they have all decided to just rush up the mid lane to try to deal as much damage to the turret as possible. And HQ will respond to that. They have bought a few home guards on Westlaw as well as Garnet Devil and Green Tea as well, so they will be able to kind of just back off and respond to that push. Azubu Taipei Snipers need to wait for the Baron buff to actually kind of wear out on the side of HQ, which at this point has already worn off. And they probably need to assert some map control back. All the lanes are pushing against them, not in their favor at this point of time, so they need to get the lanes either even or pushing for them.
Right, but I would say that, you know, HQ Esports Club, they definitely made the most out of the Baron buff advantage. They managed to soup out all the outer turrets for themselves, so they have the options to, you know, extend their ward line once again. And, you know, watching all their matches against each other, and not only that, knowing these two teams, I feel like this might go into a 6-item game. Because
this definitely would go to a 6-item game.
Yeah, because, you know, knowing these two teams, they are very cautious once they hit the stage. Unless someone gets caught out of position or one of the teams make a major mistake, I don't think anything would really go down soon. And, you know, Zonda might make me eat my words because he was going in with those aggressive undertows.
TPS still has one card that they haven't pulled out yet at this point of time. Ever since the 20-minute mark, the moment that they had the lead, they continually grouped up as 5 because they had that advantage coming. But Westlaw may just go in.
Right, there we go now. Westlaw jumping into the fray with a giant fish in the Zonya's hourglass, and now Zonda gives chase as now we do see Price and Mace. They are the ones to actually try to zone off the backline. Zonda 1v4ing for himself. He is the only one to zone off the entire lines of HQ Esports Club, but in the end it was a 1-for-1 trade, and you have Zonda going down. You compare that to Westlaw, and I don't know, man, I think it was not the best trade for HQ Esports Club because Westlaw is effectively the most you know, heaviest damage dealer on his own end. You trade that with a tank, but in a sense, 1-for-1 trade, TPS will take it, they will back off.
Okay, what HQ actually tried to do at that point of time was they sent Westlaw in, he had the Zonya's Hourglass and he had the Wild Growth come in. He went into the Urchin Strike, the Wild Growth was knocked up a few members and he went into Zonya's immediately. The plan for HQ was to zone out God JJ immediately. Price went into the Dragon's Descent, Nas followed up as well, got the Dragon's Kick, but what happened there was that God JJ was not kicked into any HQ members because what Zonda did was zone out the rest of HQ. All the other 3 members, well, except for Westlaw, both Garnet Devil and Green Tea was actually zoned out. Westlaw just died at that point of time. Garnet Devil and Green Tea couldn't follow up with any sort of damage, and that was kind of it. Having the needlessly large rod onto Green Tea is actually a very good thing because the skills onto Lulu's abilities actually scale pretty well with the AP being built onto her. He has the Glitter Lance as well as the Wild Growth. Wild Growth will allow with the AP to actually gift more health.
Right, so Taipei Snipers, they will take away Dragon, and this point of time. HQ Esports Club, they are the ones to start off this Baron attempt, and the last time we saw the Baron attempt go down, it was not a very pretty one for Taipei Snipers, and it does look like HQ Esports Club, they might be the ones in trouble now, and there we go with the Eternal Warriors onto Oriel now. Tidal Wave goes down as well. Nez looks like he's in a world of trouble, and Prides will get brought right back in with the explosive cast. The Arco Prism will land as well, so Shutdown goes down to God JJ. Super Mega Death Rocket will land as well. That's the double kill for God JJ there. Looks like Taipei Snipers, they are the one riding this momentum here with the Tidal Wave, and there we go. Mistake now trying to catch Garena Devil as well. Oriel now jumping into the fray with the Flash Body Slam. One more kill being secured on their own end. Taipei Snipers pick up 3 kills for themselves, and in return, hopefully, the Baron as well. But Ness is right around the corner. The smite still does not happen, and you know, he just jumped into the fray to sacrifice himself to Taipei Snipers there, and you know, they secure the Baron buff and so, and with that one clean sweep, Taipei Snipers bring back the momentum for themselves, and they might even close out the game.
It was a good call by AHQ to go for the Baron. They saw that TPS was actually rotating the Dragon to just pick up a quick objective, but they didn't have the damage to do the Baron fast enough, and they tried to disengage the moment they saw actually Price was in the mid lane, so he kind of caught out the rotation from TPS towards the Baron pit, but they didn't disengage in time. And what happened was that all the kills went onto the favor of TPS. They pick up the Baron, they pick up 2 inhibitor turrets as well as the inhibitors as well.
Right, and Taipei Snipers look like they are not done yet. They want to catch Westdog. Here, God JJ is on a rampage. He does pick up the kill onto Westdog there. Does feel like they still want to go in for this one. Now Oriel has to use the Zhonya's Hourglass to keep himself alive. Super Mega Death Rocket for the double kill here. Taipei Snipers look like they want to finish off the game here. Triple kill for him there. Will he get the Quadra? And there we go. No, Oriel actually sniped that one off for himself, but triple kill still not too bad for himself. First Nexus turret goes down.
It's not just the triple kill. This is going to be the game for Azubu Taipei Snipers. So that Baron call in itself, HQ unable to actually disengage from that Baron, and this allowed TPS to just snowball and get the entire momentum back in their favor. And if you have a momentum, or if you get back the momentum and you have a Jinx on your team, that's just that.
Right, and you know, that's the scary pick of potential that you are talking about with that Jinx pick. And you know, they just let God JJ have all his free reign, and because that he was able to just move around the area very effectively with the Get Excited passive. And I mean, this game was much more closer to game number 1, I feel, and a lot of decisions were made on the side of Taipei Snipers that worked really well. But you know, in the mid-game stages, they just gave one away to HQ Esports Club, and there was that window of opportunity. They had that glimpse of hope to come back into this one, but they just went in for the Baron pit advantage. So, you know, if there's anything that you can take away from this game, is that do not go for the Baron unless you are confident of it.
Fish is going to be very happy. He's probably going to take this video back and cut up those 2 fights and says that these are the reasons why you don't go for Baron. So let's talk about the 2 Baron fights just a little bit more before we go for the break.
Okay.
We saw TPS, they completely did not ward up the entrance path from AHQ side of the jungle. They decided to go for Baron, and they saw AHQ coming. They thought they could do it faster before the rest of AHQ arrived. No, the entire AHQ cavalry came, killed them off, took Baron. They took 3 outer turrets. On the side of AHQ, however, they did the exact same thing. They saw TPS go for Dragon, they go for Baron instead. Couldn't finish off fast enough, couldn't disengage fast enough. They almost got aced. I think only 1 member was alive. TPS took the Baron, took 2 inhibitor turrets, and took the game.